It's mailbag time here on the Raiders Report, and remember, this video was captured, or I guess recorded, is what I should say, on Tuesday. I am going to be away for a wedding this upcoming weekend. I'm going to be a best man. I'm a little bit nervous. I got to give a best man speech. But if you see anything that has changed, please don't get mad. We'll try to do our best to keep you updated as the week goes on. The first one coming in here is from Patrick B., who's been, I'd probably say, the Raiders Report MVP over the last month. He goes, Raiders! Yo, Mitch, I do feel that Leather will make a jump like Miller did in his second year. Any wide receiver 3 news, late night with Chuck is awesome. So recently on Locals, I've been doing late nights with Chuck where I go home. Chuck and I have like I answer questions, and he just does his thing squeaking toys here and there. But I'm hoping Leatherwood can take that next step. The issue is Leatherwood isn't nearly the athlete that Colton Miller is. I do think Leatherwood is going to be a lot better this upcoming season. I still view him as a guard. Maybe I'm going to be wrong in that. Maybe Carmen Brasillo can work with him. In terms of wide receiver 3 news, you're not really going to get any new updates that haven't already come out, because this is the time of the year where players are relaxing, they're chilling. I believe it's Keelan Cole, DeMarcus Robinson, Matt Collins. It's going to be a 3 wide receiver race for wide receiver 3. L.I. Raider 312, what up, my man? Just watched your boy Graf. You're going to do a bold prediction show yourself. You know, I've thought about doing bold predictions. To be honest, though, they don't ever really do all that well on the channel. And then, since I've done this show for so many years, my boss is like, why are you doing that video again? I don't think you should do it. But I might do it if it really gets down to it. I just try to get a little bit different. I'd rather do a bold video in terms of, like, wild trade ideas. To me, that's a little bit more fun. But I am doing something where you might break some records. So, we'll see. All right, David Taken, you're next up here on the Raiders Report. What is the likelihood of us signing Suh and or Williams for the right side of the offensive line? I would say Ndamukong is way more likely. I'd probably give him, honestly, one just win, baby. Daryl Williams is probably less than 2-3%. It's because the Raiders have a lot of confidence in the offensive lineman already. But we're going to have to be patient. I don't think the Raiders are done making moves yet. Suh is more likely, though, than Daryl Williams, even though it kills me because, to me, Daryl Williams is a guy that I would absolutely go out and get. All right, let's look at Ty Davis. He's predicting Devante Adams' stat right here. He's going to go between 1,000 to 1,100 yards, 12 to 14 touchdowns, 110 to 120 receptions. So I'm on board for the touchdown numbers. I think they're actually pretty accurate. 110 to 120 catches, that's fine. But if a player like Devante catches the ball 110, 120 times and only produces this amount of yards, that's a problem. Like, for him to be around 1,000, 1,100 yards, I would say he's probably closer to 80 catches, 85 catches, because he's a good yards after the catch guy. He's not somebody who's going to pick up 10, that's even less than 10 yards per catch. Like 9.5 yards per catch for Devante Adams. No, that ain't going to happen. Let's go to Raider Man 01. I agree, Mitch. We have a lot of weapons. Don't be surprised if they all had a little drop-off in stats. You're right. And I think if you were to ask Darren Waller, you were to ask Hunter Renfrow, hell, you asked Devante Adams, your numbers might go down a little bit, but the overall team's going to be better, and you're hoping that that results into more wins. Every single one of those players will be like, that's fine. It's a team sport. So, yes, individual stats might go down, but if anything, that's better for us because that makes it even more difficult for a defensive coordinator to try to scheme because you can't double-team Devante, you can't double-team Waller, you can't double-team Renfrow. Why? Because then the other two guys are going to absolutely feast. All right, what up, Christopher Leonard? Sending in those super thanks and watching live shows. What up, bro? Mitch, you see the Bucs may release wide receiver Rashard Perriman. Do the Raiders maybe look to add him as another weapon? They might try to do their due diligence. They might try to at least see how he is. I'll say this. Rashard Perriman's had one good year. His only good season he's ever had was in 2019. That was the year famous Jameis had that 30 for 30-yard touchdowns, INTs over 5,000 yards. He does have some speed. However, a lot of injury issues, and I would rather if the Raiders were to look at a receiver that could potentially be cut, I'd rather just look at Nelson Aguilar because I think he could actually get cut. This next one coming up here on the Raiders Sports from Sig Grizzly. Will Chandler Jones be a bust? I don't believe that he's going to be a bust. I think it depends what you're classifying as a bust. Like, if you anticipate him to have 15-plus sacks, no, I don't think that's going to happen. He did have 10.5 sacks last season. Yes, 5 came in week 1. But I just see him being way too talented in a defense that fits him way too well for him to be a bust. Now, if he has less than 8 sacks in a year, yeah, that might not be good. I just don't see that happening. Chandler Jones is a sack machine. So speaking of this, I want you to give me a number. Look into that crystal ball of yours. Tell me if the Raiders win the Super Bowl. But also, how many sacks will Chandler Jones end up having this season? Let's go look in the comments. Let's be different here. Let me know what you guys are thinking. How many sacks for Chandler Jones this upcoming season? The next question up here on the Raiders Report. Mitch, love the show, bro. Raiders on the Rays. How's Chuck the Pup going? Chuck the Pup is good. He's going to have a weird week, though, because Alex and I are out of town at a wedding. Luckily, though, Uncle Chase is going to be watching him, but Chuck's doing good. If you guys care what Chuck's doing, you can always follow me on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365, or it's Chuck the Pup. Jenkins, you're next up here, bro. What is the latest on Suh, and is he coming to the Raiders or not? The latest on Suh is, if you follow him on Twitter, he just talks about the housing market and how bad the economy is right now. In terms of him to the Raiders, there's not a real update. I know that the Raiders want to add extra players, but they might just wait at this current juncture to see what guys look like at minicamp, at training camp. There was a report that came out, though, that the Raiders do anticipate every single player, whether they're looking for a new contract or not, will be at training camp. Not a lot of NFL teams can say that, and I think it speaks volumes of the leadership there. So nothing really new on Suh. But as far as I'm concerned, Ndamukong wants to be a Raider, and if that's all that he wants, and he's talking to Crosby, he's talking to Chandler Jones, that should tell you everything you need to know. Raiders are interested, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Now, y'all, we make videos here on YouTube. We also make videos over on Rumble as well. And a lot of times, I release videos out on Rumble before I put them out on YouTube. On top of that, it's ad-free. You can also listen to the videos like a podcast, put them in your pocket, let it play, because I know it's something that YouTube can't do. If you want even more politics, news, all that kind of good stuff, give us a follow at rumble.com/Raiders Report. I've been trying to get to 2,000 over on Rumble for a while. Bosses are getting a little bit mad at me, so if you guys could help me out, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, let's go to Loud Storm next up here on the Raiders Report. I know we have a lot of offensive weapons, but what if we sign Marvin Jones? 2 issues with that. 1, Marvin Jones, you'd have to trade for him, and I've talked about a Marvin Jones trade before on the Raiders Report. Like, if you go on YouTube, you type in Marvin Jones Raiders Report, I'll break down the article that talked about Jones being traded to Silver and Black. He's a good receiver. He had 4 touchdowns last season, 9 touchdowns the last 2 years. But with Jacksonville adding all these extra players, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, you could get him at a discount. My argument to you would be Marvin Jones is a better receiver than Laviska Shenault, but I think you'd have to give up a lot more for Marvin Jones compared to Laviska Shenault. And on top of that, Chenault's way, way cheaper, and he's a lot younger. So, I know. Marvin Jones now, Laviska Shenault, long haul. Thomas Borrego, any update on the Waller contract? No, there has not been an update on the Waller contract. Again, the only update that I've heard recently is that the Raiders expect every single one of their players to be at training camp. And when I heard that, the first name I thought of was Darren Waller, because I've been told he's going to get a brand new contract. He wants a new contract extension on top of that. So the idea is, no, nothing new here, but I'm still going to sit here and say Darren Waller will get a new contract before the season kicks off. We got Riley and Kyle. Could Lester Cotton make the final roster? Could he? Yes. Do I think it's likely? No. And the reason why I don't believe that it's likely is because if the Raiders keep 10 offensive linemen, I'm a believer that that 10th lineman is going to be Thayer Munford, who the Raiders drafted in the 7th round. Yes, they drafted him late, but this regime still drafted him, right? If the Raiders keep 11 offensive linemen, which I just think that's too many, then Lester has a shot. The other good thing for Cotton is apparently he was an absolute maniac in minicamp. He was playing really well. He looked solid, but that's also because some of the other players were sitting out, resting, and, well, the coaches wanted to see what they had in certain guys. But, hey, you let me know. Why for yes and for no? I've seen a few people put out a 53-man roster projection with Cotton making the team. I'm going to type my N for no, but it's not impossible. If you were to tell me, hey, Mitch, who are the top 10 roster bubble candidates or who are the final 10 players that could be in or out, he would make that list. I think he ends up making the practice squad. He's a good player out of Alabama. He's got some good background. It's just the Raiders have some other players at those positions at offensive guard. But, hey, Y for yes, N for no. Raider 24 Nation, what up, my dude? Love what you do, Mitch. Been a fan of for a long time. I actually did a super the day my son was born. He is now needing heart surgery. Can we get a shout out for Raider Andrew Rogers? You know, I believe I remember this because there's been 2 people over the past 2 months that were in the delivery room and sent in a super chat and were super hyped. And Raider Andrew Rogers just, I believe that was the one where you literally sent in a super chat and then like an hour later you sent in another one that the baby was born. So I believe that was you, right? Let me totally, if I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm right, please. I'm curious, but big shout out to you, man. That's awesome. And prayers, thoughts, wishes, if everyone could send in those thoughts and prayers in the comments for Raider and for Andrew, that'd be great. What up, King? What could you expect to get for Drake in a trade? It depends which team's making the deal, right? Because Kenyan Drake, running back position, realistically, I would say right now, the only team that makes a lot of sense in terms of trading for a back would be the New Orleans Saints. And a lot of times, trading for a back happens either because of an injury or because of a suspension. I believe Drake could probably get you a 5th, maybe a 6th-round pick because of his contract. The Raiders, no matter what, are going to eat some of that money. Yes, they have reworked it. He's got like 4 void years on the back end of that deal. I would say a 5th, maybe a 6th-round pick for Kenyan Drake, and that's just the way it is. I know. That's just the way it is. All right, y'all, we got a lot of questions, a lot of comments here during this mailbag. And if I missed any of your stuff, you can always hit me up on IG and on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. If you want to see what's going on in my daily life, please do so. If you want to see what I'm doing this weekend, because, again, I'm going to be one of the best men in my best friend's wedding. I'm super stoked to celebrate him getting married. I knew he was going to get married to this girl. He was my roommate in college, and we're going to be posting some cool videos. I'm going to be having a good time, but it's also an easier way for me to get to know y'all a little bit closer. And let's face it, I can post a lot more stuff on IG on my stories or on my Twitter than I can make videos around, so stay up to date. What up, Bardog? You're next up here on the Raiders Report. Is it likely we try to get Williams? Daryl Williams, no, it's not likely. And it's because the Raiders believe in the tackles and offensive linemen that they already have. Vincenzo Peoples, one of the OGs. Should the Raiders go out and get Jalen Raegor? You know, Raegor's been a name that I've mentioned a few times because he's a good receiver. He's got some speed coming out of TCU. The issue is for Philadelphia, it was a bad fit. But the part of me where I think, I'm all right, well, if the Raiders could do what they did with Nelson Aguilar, could they potentially do that with Jalen Raegor? If Philadelphia was like, hey, 6th-round pick for Raegor, he's yours, I would do that trade. Clash with Zeus. How many seasons before McDaniels and Zieger are on the hot seat? Hopefully that answer is 0. Because if they come out and they win this season, you're great. I can also say it could be 1. Because if McDaniels and Zieger don't make it to the playoffs, and if they don't have a winning season, like 10 wins, I mean, you heard Derek Carr say it just like a week or 2 weeks ago, that this team would then have it would be a failing season. And I remember talking to my dad about this, and I'm telling you, if the Raiders don't win 10 games, they don't make this playoffs, those guys are going to be on the hot seat. I'm not saying they're going to get fired, but the temperature is going to get turned up a little bit, because if you can make the playoffs last year with everything that went on, with this talented roster, you still turn the heat up, man. All right, what up, Cade Ross? Can we make a trade for Harrison Smith? You know, Harrison Smith is an interesting name, and good safety for the Minnesota Vikings. I actually still think he's one of the best in the biz. He just got like a brand new contract. It was like 4 years, $64 million extension, I believe is what it is. The issue is, if Minnesota trades him, they only save it's like $3.5 million. And for the Vikings, I wouldn't make that deal. If Harrison Smith wanted to come play for the Raiders, yes, I would do it. It's just, I don't see why Minnesota would move on from a defensive leader. I understand that they drafted Lewis Seen also in the first round, but to me, that team's still trying to win right now. And if you're in win now mode, you don't move on from one of your cornerstone players. $5 super chat coming in from Cameron Sproul. Mitch, give us one bombshell cut out of all the NFL teams out of training camp. So a big-time surprise cut, is that what you're looking for? I mean, I'll go with the name that you guys have probably heard me say before. I think Nelson Aguilar is a legit cut candidate, and it's because New England traded for Devontae Parker. He didn't work out all that well in their first year. On top of that, they gave Jacoby Myers something like a new deal. They have another receiver, but right now Aguilar is like the fourth guy in that offense. Plus, you got a brand new regime that just came in. My surprise cut candidate will be Nelson Aguilar.